Hi, it's Katie from Katie Cooks and Crafts, and today I'm cooking halushka. This is an old family favorite of braised cabbage and bacon with some onions and carrots. It's really humble food, but it's delicious, and I hope you give it a try. The ingredients to make this recipe are very simple. I have a medium cabbage that I have quartered, cored, and sliced into about 1/4 inch ribbons. It's about 10 cups altogether. I have 2 cups of chopped onions, a cup of julienne or matchstick carrots, or you could just grate the carrots on a box grater if you want. And I have 1/2 pound of bacon that I have sliced into 1/2 inch slices. And if you cut the bacon while it's still partially frozen, it makes it cut a lot easier. To season, I'm just using salt and pepper, very simple. For the dumplings, I have a cup of all-purpose flour. Sometimes I sub 1/2 whole wheat and 1/2 all-purpose, but today it's all all-purpose. I have 1 egg and 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. I'm also going to season the dumplings with a little bit of salt and pepper. I'm going to start in my large stock pot, and I'm starting with it cold because I'm not going to add any fat to render the bacon, so I want to give the fat in the bacon a chance to come out. So I'm going to put the bacon in the pan and then turn it on to medium-high. While that's starting to fry, I'm also going to boil some water in this pot here, and this is where I'm going to cook the dumplings. While that's cooking, I'm going to start my dumplings. So I'm going to add the baking powder to the flour and stir that in. I'm going to use this little container to get a little bit of cold water. So I have a couple tablespoons of cold water here. I'm going to season the flour with salt and pepper. And now I'm going to make a well in the flour, and in that well is where I'm going to crack my egg. I'm going to add a little splash of water, and I'm going to mix the egg in the water and slowly incorporate the flour that's around it in the well. I'm going to slowly add just a little bit more water. You want your dough to be slightly stiff, not too stiff. And we're not going to knead this at all. We're just going to mix the flour in. So you can mush it around with your hands, but you don't need to knead it like bread dough. Add just a little more dribble of water. So that's what my dough looks like. It's a little bit shaggy, whereas bread dough you would need till it's smooth. You just need to mix this enough to incorporate all the flour. Altogether, I probably used 2 to 3 tablespoons of water, but you just want to add it slowly a little bit at a time. I'm just going to set this aside for now and go back to the bacon. The bacon is just starting to crisp up, and it's going to continue to fry as we add the other ingredients, so it doesn't need to be too well done at this point. I'm going to start adding the cabbage, the onions, and the carrots. If you want, before you do that, you can remove some of this bacon fat if it makes you feel better. I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it all in there. I'm going to add the cabbage. The onions. And the carrots, and toss that in the bacon fat to coat. Once everything is well combined and all the vegetables are coated in the bacon fat, I'm going to put a lid on the pot, and the moisture from the vegetables will start to steam and wilt down the cabbage and the carrots and the onions, and it's all going to cook together and braise. And while that's cooking, I'm going to go ahead and cook my dumplings. Once my water is boiling, I'm just going to break little pieces of my dough into the boiling water to make the dumplings. And they don't need to be perfect. Actually, you want them kind of ragged. So just pinch off a piece about that big and just drop it in the dough. And you want to work pretty fast because these cook really fast. And you want to make sure they're not too big because they will puff up with that baking powder in there. A rookie mistake would be to hold this over the surface of the water as you drop the dumplings in, because the steam rising up from the water will just make this ball a big gluey mess. So just hold it off to the side, break off a small piece, and drop it in. That's the last of the dough. I'm going to give them a stir and bring them back up to a gentle boil and let them cook for about 5 to 8 minutes. While the dumplings are cooking, I'm just going to check on the cabbage and see how it's wilted down nicely. And all the moisture is coming out of the vegetables and deglazing the bottom of the pan, so all those brown bits from the fried bacon getting mixed in with everything. It smells delicious. I'm going to give it a taste, and I want to see how much salt and pepper I want to add. And the bacon is quite salty, so you want to make sure you taste it before you start seasoning it. And you also want to check the doneness of the cabbage. You might like it a little softer or a little bit less done. So I'm just going to add a little bit of salt and plenty of fresh ground black pepper. So the dumplings are still cooking over here, and I want to pull one out and check it for doneness. So I want to find one of the bigger ones. And I'll just put it in this bowl and cut it in half and see what it looks like on the inside. So that's what it looks like on the inside. It's just a very thin line where it's still a little bit underdone, but we're going to finish cooking this in the cabbage. So just throw that in there. I'm going to drain these dumplings and then add them to the pot of cabbage. Then just stir to coat those dumplings with all of that delicious flavor. And just let it cook another minute or two until the cabbage is as tender as you like and the dumplings are cooked through. So that's all there is to this meal. Like I said, simple, hearty, and delicious. I hope you like this recipe. Give me a thumbs up, be sure to subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.